Welcome to the detailed how-to tutorial on the Edifice ECB-20 from Casio. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel for more watch-related content. Before getting on started with the setting the time and date, I want to show you a cool feature, and that is moving the hands out of the way. And that's done simply by pressing the illumination button, and once you press it, press the mode button. So here we go. And the hand will move out of the way so you have easier access to watch digital display. Once again, pressing the illumination and then mode button will again get it back to standard timekeeping mode. Setting the time and date is done like this. In the standard timekeeping mode, press and hold the adjust button over here. That's the button in the middle until our home city starts to flash on this screen over here. So here we go, and there it is. We heard the beep, and currently the hands are moving out of the way so you have better access to your digital subdials. First in a row of settings is setting your home city. Currently it's set to Sarajevo because I have previously paired my watch with the phone, and that's the main catch of this watch. All of these settings are much easier and simpler to use when you connect your watch to your phone, and actually it will automatically set the time and date. But nevertheless, let's continue. To switch or change your home city, simply press these two buttons and it will rotate your home city, or it will find another home city that you want. So if you want your time zone to find, simply press these two buttons until you find your time zone. So I'm going to Paris time zone since that's my time zone. Next up would be the summertime setting, and to enter that setting, simply press this button over here at 40, number 40, that's the lower left one, and we enter the DST settings. Currently it's set to auto, but you can switch it using this button over here, so it can be turned off or on. I'm gonna leave it at auto. Next press of the lower left button gets us to 12 or 24-hour time format. I can switch between that by pressing this button over here, and I'm gonna leave it at 24-hour time format. Next press of the mode button gets us to setting the seconds. And as we can see, the seconds are flashing. Now you cannot set the exact value of the seconds, but what you can do is reset that value by pressing this button over here. Next press of the mode button, that's the lower left one, sorry, enters the hour value setting, and you can increase or decrease the value of hours by pressing these two buttons. I'm gonna leave it at 23 since it's 23 o'clock. Next press of the lower left one gets us to setting the minutes. Procedure is exactly the same. This or this button to increase or decrease the value. Next press gets us to the date display format, and you can switch it by pressing the lower right one, which date format you want to be shown on this digital subdial over here. Next press of the lower left button gets us to year setting, and we can see that the years are flashing. You can increase or decrease the number of the year by pressing one of these two buttons. Next press gets us to setting the month value, and as you can see, 10 is flashing, so it's October. Again, pressing this upper right one and the lower right one will increase and decrease the value of year. Procedure is exactly the same for setting the day. Next press of the mode button. Sorry, I constantly tell you to press the mode button, but it is the lower left one that I'm shuffling. So next press of the lower left button gets us to setting the day of the week language, and you can shuffle between the English, Spanish, Deutsch, German, Italian, Russian, English again, and I'm gonna leave it at English. Next press of the lower left button gets us to appointment notification setting, and currently it's set to beep, but you can turn it off or on. So beep or off. Next press of the button gets us to operation tone, is it enabled or disabled. The key stands that it's enabled. By pressing this button over here, you can mute it. Next press of the lower left button gets us to auto light enable or disable. The auto light stands for enabling the watch to auto illuminate when you flick your wrist to see what's the time. Currently it's set to off, but you can switch it to on by pressing this button over here. I'm gonna leave it at off. Next press of this button over here gets us to illumination duration, and currently it's set to 1. 1 stands for 1.5 seconds duration of illumination when I press the illumination button, and I can switch it to 3, and the 3 stands for 3 seconds duration of illumination duration. I'm gonna leave it at 1. Next press of the button, lower left one, gets us to the airplane mode. Is it on or off? You can turn it on or off with this button over here, and I'm gonna leave it at off. Next press of the lower left button gets us to a beginning of the settings and setting our time zone. And once you have set all of your settings, simply push the crown, simply push this button over here. I constantly think it's crown because usually the crowns are located at this position. So simply press this button over here and all of your settings will be implemented. Using the stopwatch on the ECB-20 from Casio, the stopwatch measures the elapsed time in the 1/1000th of a second unit for the first hour and in 1/110th of a second units after that for up to 24 hours. In addition to a normal elapsed time measurements, the stopwatch also lets you measure the lap time. Now, there's a keynote to add to this stopwatch review, and that is that the up to 200 lap time records can be stored in the watch memory. Performing a split time operations while there are already 200 records in the memory will cause the oldest records to be deleted automatically to make room for the new. And the best way or the only way to see those records or the log data is the Edifice connected app. Let's get started with the measuring elapsed time. First of all, let's get to the stopwatch mode. So pressing the mode button over here on the left side will get us to the stopwatch mode. That is the mode first in a row of modes. And to measure the elapsed time, simply press the lower left button to start the operation of measurement. The same button to stop it and to resume it. Stop it, and to reset the value, press the button on the 3 o'clock. Now, elapsed time is shown in 1/1000th of a second units for the first hour, as I said, and after that the elapsed time is shown in 1/1000th of a second units. Over here you have your 1/1000th of a second measurement shown over here, and over here you have your minutes and the seconds value, and that is for the first hour. After the first hour you will have your seconds indicated over here, and in this section over here, or this digital display, you will have the hour and minutes represented. That would be the measuring of the elapsed time. How to measure the lap times? So let's get started with the measurement. Pressing the button at 3 o'clock will indicate that the lap so you have it indicated on the screen above. Press the lower right button to stop the measurement. Now what you can see over here, these are the 1/1000th of a second shown on 1/1000 second of units are shown over here. We have your minutes and the seconds value over here, and lap time seconds are shown on this big analog subdial on the lower part of the screen. Lab time records are shown in 1,000th of a second during the first hour of a lab's time in measurement session. After 1 hour, the oral times are recorded in 1/10th of a second. Now, the watch will automatically store the data in its memory. As I said, up to 200 measurements can be stored. And to reset the value, to engage the value or proceed with the measurement, pressing the lower right button, the button at 3 o'clock to reset the value, and pressing the mode button and holding it until you hear the double beep to enter the standard timekeeping mode. Those would be the basics of a stopwatch mode on the ECB-20 from Casio Edifice. Using the countdown timer on the Edifice ECB-20, from the standard timekeeping mode, keep pressing the mode button until you get to the countdown timer. So first press is the stopwatch, second press of the mode button is the countdown timer. How to perform the operations of counting down: press the lower right button to start the countdown operation, and you have it indicated over here. So on the upper screen you have your minutes counting over there, and you have your seconds also over there. The lower the lower analog subdial also helps with the countdown measurement. So again, same button to pause it and to resume the countdown. To reset the value, simply press the button at 3 o'clock. Now a beeper will sound for 10 seconds to let you know when the end of a countdown timer is reached. Press any button to stop the tone. How to set the value: the countdown timer start can be set in the 1 second units up to 24 hours. So let's get on started with setting the countdown timer exact value. But let's get those hands out of the way. There we are. So illumination and mode button. Hold down the button at 3 o'clock at least for 2 seconds and release the button when the hour digit starts to flash. So let's go. There it is. The hour value is flashing over there. Use button at upper right button and the lower right button to increase or decrease the value of hours. So there's the principle, but I'm gonna leave it at 0. Now how to switch to the minute setting from the hour setting. That's done by pressing the lower left button, and we get to setting the minutes, and as you can see, the minutes are flashing. So procedure is exactly the same, and you can set the minutes value by pressing these two buttons over here. I'm gonna leave it at 10 minutes. Next step, pressing the mode button again on the lower left side gets us to setting the seconds value. Again, procedure is exactly the same. You can set those values by pressing one of these two buttons to increase or decrease the value of those countdown timer. Once you're done with all of your settings, simply press the button at 3 o'clock, the one with Edifice logo, and all of your settings will be implemented. And I have shown you how to engage the timer, stop it, pause it, and reset it. Those would be the basics of a countdown timer on the Edifice ECB-20. The alarm and the hourly time signal on the ECB-20. To enter the alarm mode, keep pressing the mode button, that's the button on the lower left side, until you get to the alarm. So first is the stopwatch, the countdown timer, then we come to the alarm mode. Let's get the hands out of the way so you have better access to the alarm function and the digital subdial so you can better see what I'm talking about. First in a row of alarms is alarm number 1, and it was briefly indicated on this digital subdial. By pressing the lower left button, you can switch between the alarms. So you have 5 alarms, and as you can see, it's shifting on this upper subdial. There's the hourly time signal. So alarm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the hourly time signal. So currently we are back to the alarm number 1, and it's indicated that the alarm number 1 is turned off. To turn that alarm on, simply press the button at 3 o'clock, and it will be also indicated on this screen over here, and you can see it. Now, how to set the value of the alarm? Simply press and hold the button at 3 o'clock until you hear the beep. And first in a row of settings is setting your hour value for the alarm. As you can see, this 0 is flashing. Use the upper right one and the lower right button to increase or decrease the value of your alarm. I'm gonna get it back to 0 because this is a brand new watch and I have to get it back to store, but you get to the principle. Next press of the mode button, the lower left one, will move the flashing from hour to minutes value, and you can see these two zeros are flashing. Now again, procedure is exactly the same. Use this button or this button to increase or decrease the value of minutes. Once you're done with all of your settings, simply press the button at 3 o'clock, and the alarm will be set and it will automatically be turned on. To turn it off again, simply press the button at 3 o'clock. Now procedure is exactly the same for all of the 5 alarms and the hourly time signal, so you can turn it on or off. Maybe the easier and much more effective way to set these alarms would be using the Edifice connected app. That would be the basics of the alarm mode on this watch. World time mode on the Edifice ECB-20. Well, the world time mode is used for you to see what's the time and date in the secondary time zone, or maybe have your secondary time zone at your fingertips, so when you are flying frequently from A to B, you can swap your home city and secondary city, or your home city and the world time city to be a primary or secondary time zone. So to enter the world time mode, simply press the mode button until you get to that mode. First step would be the stopwatch, the countdown timer, alarm mode, and the world time mode. And it's even indicated on this analog subdial over here. Currently the world time mode is set to Tokyo, and I believe you saw it briefly on this upper digital display. To shuffle between those cities, simply press the button at 4 o'clock and it will shuffle between the cities. So you can pretty much set the any city you want. The time zone will automatically have the DST set to auto, but the best way to set those the world time city or the secondary time zone is using the Edifice connected app. There you can pretty much fiddle with all of the little options for the secondary time zone or the primary time zone for that matter, as well as the other functions of the watch such as the alarm, the current time and date, the countdown timer, setting your watch hands, and so on. The cool feature is, as I previously said, swapping your home time and world time. In the world time mode, just hold down the upper right button for at least 2 seconds to swap your home city time with your world time. So basically your secondary time zone becomes your primary time zone, and your primary time zone becomes your secondary time zone. That would be the basics of a world time mode on the Edifice ECB-20. Hand alignment adjustment on the Edifice ECB-20. Strong magnetism or impact can cause the time indicated by the analog hands to become different from the time on the digital display. If this happens, adjust the hand alignment. And how to do that? First of all, you have to be in the standard timekeeping mode. Our watch currently is, but to enter the standard timekeeping mode from any mode, simply press and hold the lower left button until you hear the double beep. So there it is. Now we are sure that we are in the standard timekeeping mode. Hold down. Next step would be to hold down the button at 3 o'clock, the one with the edifice logo, for at least 5 seconds, and release the button when 00 starts to flash. So here we go. And there it is. So basically it was the double beep we heard again, and we have the so I didn't release the button at 3 o'clock until these two zeros sorry, these two zeros appeared, and you have sub written on the upper sub dial. This enables the adjustment of mode hand alignment. Now the mode hand is not aligned with the 0 at this sub dial over at me. Let me zoom in to show you. So you have your mode hand over here, and the correct position would be if it's pointing at these two zeros on the sub dial. If it's not aligned with double zeros, use the upper right one and the lower right one to move it left or right. So using these two buttons will get it to right position. And once you get it to right position, that's the position of it the watch should be in, or the watch mode hand should be in. And once you get it to that position and everything is aligned well, next step would be pressing the lower left button, that's the mode button, to enable the adjustment of the hour and minutes value. If the hour and minutes are not aligned at 12 o'clock, there's a procedure to set them exactly at 12 o'clock. My hands are well aligned, they are both at 12 o'clock, but if they are not, press the upper right button and the lower right button to move the hands to the left or right. So once I'm pressing these two buttons, you can see the minutes hand is shifting left or right. And to get it, when I get it to correct position, that I'm satisfied. So the next step would be to get back to the standard timekeeping mode, because all of my hands are correctly aligned and my analog time should be corresponded with the digital time on the sub dials. Once you're done with all of your settings, simply press the button at 3 o'clock, the one with the edifice logo, and the watch will get back to its standard timekeeping mode. So currently the hands are moving to 19:10, and let's see if it will correspond with the so yes, it corresponds. The analog time and the digital time is correct. Started. First of all, you have to install the edifice connected, and on your screen you have the simultaneously watch on the left side and the application or the smartphone on your right side. Second step would be to run the application, and once the application has started, find your watch, and that is the ECB-20. Now to connect the watch, it says you have to push this button to connect to the watch, and there it is. So register the watch to the app, and we have the CNCT indicating on the watch screen, upper digital display. So we are currently connecting our phone to the watch. The registration was successful. Now one thing I have to say, now my watch is currently synced to the phone, and when the time zone is not correct on your phone and on your watch, the watch will simultaneously get the information from your phone and the time zone will automatically adjust. So there's no need for you to enter the manual time and date settings, and the watch will do it itself, or the phone will do it itself using the application. So view guide, what are the options? We have the guide, and on this guide over here you basically have all of the informations about your watch and your time mode, what does each button do, and the screen indicators. You have the stopwatch mode, the world time mode, how to use those modes, and the timer mode. And there's an option for you to see the manual. This watch is focused on the stopwatch. Since this is a highly precise stopwatch, you can import log data from your measurements to have a better access and view the data from the stopwatch. Now currently, since this is a new watch, there's no data for me to be shown because I haven't actually even used the stopwatch on this watch. In the world time mode, you can set your world time. As you can see, my primary home time was Sarajevo, and the watch automatically sync that time zone to my phone. So if I want to set the world time mode, simply find the another city or another time zone. Let's say I want to see Tokyo time zone. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Tokyo, and set this city to the watch. Now the phone will send the data to the watch, and the second time zone will be our Tokyo time. And there it is, our world time was set. When it comes to utilities, these are the schedule timer. You have the 5 alarms, hourly time signal, and the countdown timer. So there's a possibility for you to manually set each and every of those options or the alarms. And those will be the lower dial options. Now let's go to the upper gear button and see what we have. We have the ECB-20. There's an option on this app to register multiple watches. You have the tutorial again, and what does each function do? You have the unit settings, currently set to the metric units, but you can set it to imperial units, that's the miles. You have your account selection, that's your email address. You have your phone finder settings and the sound list, and there is the volume. I'm gonna leave it at that. Operating check of auto time adjustment, so how to automatically adjust the time. You have the watch display settings, and basically these are much simplified settings and easier to use while using your phone to set each and every one of those settings than manually scrolling through the watch functions. Operation sound, you can turn it on or off. Currently it's turned on, I believe. Yes, it is. You have the time adjustment. The watch, as I previously said, the watch will automatically set the time. You have the light setting. This watch has the option of auto illumination. That stands when you tilt the watch towards you, the display will automatically turn on. And you have the option to set the light illumination duration, and currently it's set to 1.5 seconds. Adjusting the home position, very useful feature. When your watch, you drop your watch, or the high magnetic influences your watch, the watch hands may be out of order, so you can simply adjust those settings, and so you have your analog and digital time synchronized, as well as the mode hand over there. You have the summertime setting for the phone, and currently my DST is turned on, and there it is. It says it's DST turned on, but you can set it between off, on, or the automatic. And those would be the basics of the, let's call it a gear button. Back to the beginning and reviewing the application.
What's there left to say is how to delete the pairing registration, and that's done simply by pressing this button on the lower part of the screen, and you will delete the pairing registration from the application on this watch.
Welcome to a phone finder review video on the Edifice ECB-20 using the Edifice app. I have my watch on the left side and my phone on your right side currently. So To activate the phone finder, you simply have to have your watch connected to your phone. The next procedure would be to press and hold the lower right button. That will send the signal to the phone. There are two steps when pressing this button over here. When I press the button and hold it, first you will see CNCT on this display over here. Then do not release the button yet until you hear the second beep and it's indicated fine on this display. Then the watch will send the signal to the phone and the phone should ring. To deactivate the ringing the phone, simply press any button. So let's go. Pressing the lower right button once, it beeped twice, and there it is. So I simply pressed the upper right button to stop the phone from ringing. And that was the phone finder review on the Edifice ECB-20. How to delete the pairing registration from the watch. First of all, you have to be in the standard timekeeping mode, and the watch currently is, but I'm going to show you how to get to the standard timekeeping mode from any mode, simply by pressing and holding this button over here until you hear the double beep will get you to the standard timekeeping mode from any mode. The next step would be to hold down this button over here for at least 2 seconds and release it when the home city appears on the display. So here we go, and there it is. My home city is currently displayed over there. Next step would be to press the lower left button 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and after that hold down the upper right button over here for at least 2 seconds and release it when the CLR stops flashing. So here we go. Pair CLR, and there it is. This deletes the pairing information from the watch. Press the button over here to enter or get back to the standard timekeeping mode. That would be yet another detailed how-to tutorial video, this time on the Edifice ECB-20. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. I upload watch-related content regularly. Thanks.